Hello, everybody. As you can see, I had a headphone fallout. Quite like Bray Wyatt's career, it's completely had a fallout. Welcome back to the Weekly Steelchair podcast. After a short little break, just a short one, because we deserved a break after all. We did some good shows lately, and me and Eilidh have been absolutely blitzing it. So I think we're well entitled to a short break. I don't think anyone can argue about that unless you're cynical. But of course, today it is me and Eilidh back here doing a better job as a tag team than the Uso brothers. We'll see how that flows. But all in all, Balor Club meets the People's Champ. So my co-host in crime, my co-host in quality, and my co-host of brilliance on the channel, how are you doing?
So many kind words you have, Reece. I'm doing well. I mean, you mentioned Balor Club. I'm channeling more like a dude love type thing today, you know. But no, we're doing well. We've obviously no show last week. I was busy being an even bigger nerd than usual. But we are back this week, and I suppose we'll let the cat out the bag right now. I'm not here for next week. If anyone in the comments in the live chat wants to step right up, see if you can do a better job than me. Obviously, we do need to do an Elimination Chamber preview next week, but I'm off at a Rage Room. So, Reece, if you want to host one with the lovely people, that's obviously on you. But if you do want someone to step into the co-host chair, so we're looking for all you regulars, step up, try and fill these boots, try and take my place for a week, and then quietly disappear back, because this is our island of relevancy. But no, I'm doing all right, doing well. I'm ready to get into the week's big stories. How you doing, Reece?
I'm actually really good, actually. I had a fun night last night. I was out work. So I had a long day in the office yesterday. I've been in the office 3 times this week, which is 3 times more than I usually am. Was at work. I was in the office all alone yesterday. And then I was at a work event so it was a work event. So it was a Christmas leaving do and a belated Christmas do and a workers leaving event. So we were at a pub in Edinburgh. It's called Red Squirrel. If you're ever in Edinburgh, I recommend it's on Looming Road. It's actually a really nice. It's a really nice pub. It's quite like a posh pub, to be fair. It's really nice, wholesome food, really welcoming environment. It's quite old school, in the sense it has that old school feel. Not the sense where it's completely hammered and drunk, but it's like if you walk into a Witherspoons, is that kind of
rustic.
Aye. It's really nice though. It's really welcoming. And then beside that is a nice little arcade gaming spot. It's called NQ64. We were in there as well for about 4 or 5 hours, just blitzing classic arcade games, and you get to play classic consoles for free. So it's all plugged in full HDMI. So you've got the original Xbox, you've got Super Nintendo, the Sega Saturn, GameCube, the lot. And I was literally blitzing that last night. And I was blitzing Guitar Hero. Some classic Outrun, done a dance machine, never again. Even though I can dance on that thing, it's just crap.
That's what we'll do for a set number of subs on the channel. On of course the Weekly Armchair channel, we'll get you on dance machine and we'll stream it.
Yeah, we could do something. And also they've got an arcade Mario Kart, so I was doing that and beating people for fun because it's easy to beat people.
Mario Kart back when it was very easy to cheat. As opposed to now, where it's only slightly harder to cheat. Speaking of cheating, people will think that we're cheating by you can't do Rumble Fallout. It's been 2 weeks.
I know.
We'll decide that. So we're going to quickly discuss what happened at the Rumble, because you didn't get to hear what we thought about it. And despite us having a lot to talk about this week, very few things are more important than Rumbles. So I think we should begin by saying, good show. Triple H should really keep hold of this book. He's certainly doing a lot better at it. I mean, if you compare it to last year's Royal Rumble event, this is miles better.
I agree. It only had one major flop. There was only one major flop throughout the whole show, And we will come on to that very shortly. But I agree. I thought the match card was absolutely superb. I thought timing was appropriated really well. I thought the fact that they actually were continuous in terms of the Rumble winners. It was already the long-term project. We got exactly what we wanted. They stuck to it. I like it. I like the fact that they didn't, in the nicest way, they didn't give a shit what fans wanted. So thank you for that, WWE. I say that for the first time in a long time. Thank you for letting Cody Rhodes win the Royal Rumble and not doing something stupid.
I mean, a lot of fans did want him to win, to be fair.
And a lot of fans wanted something different.
They did well to sort of, as we said, they should do, you know, they did well to be like, hey, Sammy, just don't. And I didn't watch the pre-show, but that's apparently where they did it.
Yeah, they were. The pre-show was quite boring, actually, to be fair.
It's a 2-hour pre-show for, you know, five matches, maybe 6.
Yep, and we were streaming throughout the pre-show and discussing it. It was actually really good. It was actually a really good show. If you haven't watched our Royal Rumble watch along, even though the watch along has passed, get over there and watch it because it's 5 hours of absolute entertainment.
Yeah, go back. Mm-hmm. People want background noise. What better background noise than to hear you yamming away?
It was genuinely good fun. I only had one issue with the Royal Rumble, and it was the match that we spoke about in length on our preview show, because in the nicest way, and I quote, we had no idea how they were going to book this or how they were going to do it, and it was god awful. And it was the pitch black match. It was, as much as I like the fact that they used LED lighting and they used color schemes, they went way too over the top. You can tell that Bray Wyatt's ideals and creative, look, I actually think were involved, but I think a lot of this was not down to him. I think if this were, and I think we also said, and I thought this was a very poignant point, this was said by you as well on our preview show, he was due a stinker in terms of these gimmick matches, because he had a good one, like the Firefly match. That was absolutely amazing. Then he had the House of Horrors, and they had this. He was due a stinker.
They shot it differently, at least, because I did think they were going to shoot it like the House of Horrors, but
so did I.
Instead they went with what they went with, which, I mean, I was watching it and I thought it looked like, you know, Splatoon.
Oh yeah, classic.
That was sort of the view I was getting. It looked a bit like Splatoon. It was just sort of really neon, really sort of, you know, is this a blood feud? Like they're fighting in a rave. This is weird.
Have you ever played? Have you ever played the Midnight Club racing games on either the PlayStation or the Xbox?
Yeah,
I was getting Midnight Club 3 vibes with all the neon lighting. That's what I was getting, and it's such a good game that it's always in my head. But I was literally getting Midnight Club 3 and Dub Edition Remix vibes. I was like, this is not right.
3 is good, and unfortunately, I don't know. A lot of people wanted to really bag on this match. I don't think it was as bad as people. I think people were, and this is me saying it here.
Mm-hmm.
I think people were looking for something to complain about, because in the grand scheme of things, this was a short match. It was stupidly packaged, absolutely. But as you say, that's more the WWE's thing. You know, if Mountain Dew agreed to sponsor it, Mountain Dew might have gone, and you're going to plaster our brand all over it, and we want a big thing in the middle of the ring, and we're going to pay you a lot of money to make that happen. You know, because we have sponsored the match. It's the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match because we have a drink called Mountain Dew Pitch Black. That's really
actually quite nice.
And it shouldn't be. I've never had it, but it was a sub 10-minute match. It kept moving. You know, they went out to the table, they broke the table, they came back in, it was slam, they were going back and forth, they were throwing each other into things. It wasn't, as you said, they didn't really lock up. You know, it had to be a brawl.
It was what we thought it would be. And I think
it was a brawl, and it was less than 10 minutes, and then the post-match was more Uncle Howdy stuff. I mean, we still don't know where that's going. We might never know where it's
He might.
actually going. It might take years before we go, so that's what Uncle Howdy was doing.
But we also
'Cause-
got that as well because we thought it was going to happen. We thought that Uncle Howdy would be involved several times throughout the night, and we were we were right.
He only really appeared once. I was trying to think what his other.
The only disappointment was obviously the dive on LA Knight, which completely backfired where he missed him. But that was purely
it looked fine on TV, and then the minute you got the angle from like here were people live at the arena, like he completely missed him. That's a shame. But again, it's like the view we got on the TV, we couldn't really tell.
Yeah,
we shot it from the mat, so that made me wonder something about Uncle Howdy. I don't necessarily think he's going to wrestle.
You think he's just going to be in and out like spots and then just disappear? Like
yeah,
in a way?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Uncle Howdy's obviously the creepy old guy, and that's not the wrestler. If Uncle Howdy is going to wrestle, he's not going to wrestle in that mask. It's going to be the other one.
Yeah, that mask.
The one that Bray wore when he came back.
Yeah, because he can't wear that fiendish mask. Because the whole point is for Wyatt, in Uncle Howdy's way, it's for Wyatt to return to being the Fiend.
It's almost going to be like Legend of Zelda. Is it 2? Where Link fights Shadow Link? That's kind of what we're going to have. We're going to have Bray Wyatt against story. Shadow Bray Wyatt. And Shadow Bray Wyatt's going to be like probably Bo Dallas.
Absolutely. Sharv, good to see you, my man. I hope you're doing really well. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're well. Get your comments in. We are just briefly discussing the fallout from the Royal Rumble.
Very briefly.
I don't think it was overall I don't think the pitch black match was absolutely crap though. I'm not saying that in that way. I was just disappointed that I think they went a little bit over the top with the colouring. I think they could have made it a little bit dimmer. If it's pitch black, you want to have you don't want it to be full on luminous color. You want to have a little bit of dark in there.
Yeah.
I think that would have made it a little bit more striking.
The aesthetic didn't match for the feud that we'd seen.
Yeah. And I think that was a letdown. That's
the major problem people had with it. Because if people are going, that was rubbish, that was such an awful match, it's one of the worst matches of the year. No. Go back and watch Josh Alexander against Billy Ray. Then come back to the pitch black match. You will be begging for the pitch black match.
Yeah.
It is shorter, it keeps moving, it gets in, does its thing, and gets out. And I don't think that's massively offensive. I thought every other match on the night was pretty good. You know, that thing where Bianca Belair and Alexa Bliss reenacted a whole scene from a whole fight scene from a Scary Movie. That was because you saw the following day it was up on Facebook that they'd done sort of the whole minute long fight scene with every sort of thing. And there's people criticizing that. I think keeping Alexa Bliss tied to horror in that she's a horror fan is a good idea, but I don't think that having Alexa Bliss in this story, I maintain it, people don't want to see Alexa Bliss in this story.
Yeah, they want her something else. Sharv's put a comment in. I want to get your thoughts on this, Eilidh. Sharv says he's not enjoyed Bray's return at all. That's fair. They do the same thing over and over again and expect us to react differently. Well, here's the question before Eilidh makes her point. I'm going to throw this to you, Sharv, just as a question. What is it in your eyes, and as a viewer, and as a fan, because obviously I speak to Sharv pretty much every single day. He's a very good guy, and he's on every single show we're in. He's always in the live chat, so we really do appreciate this. What is it that they do the same to you? Because when you look at it, Bray is... This might sound harsh, but it's actually very true. I think Bray Wyatt is generally one of the most limited guys in terms of a pro wrestler. I think he's very limited for a worker. In terms of in the ring, he's very limited. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's limited in the sense that he isn't overall great in terms of choreographing a match. He does have some good working matches. But what he does have, though, is an absolute outstanding creative mind for how his gimmick works. So what is it that they're doing over and over for you that you are trying not to feel disappointed by? And I'm not knocking his limited ability here or anything like that. I actually think sometimes being limited helps if you actually have a good creative mind. if you don't have a good creative mind, then and you're just limited, then you're boring to watch, and that's why I slag off Hulk Hogan.
Well, I'm going to defend Bray a little bit here because I think he can. I think he can have good matches. I think Bray Wyatt, in terms of like his actual moveset, and if you think about like Eater of Worlds and all the moves that he would do and the matches he would have, they were actually pretty good. You know, like
I'm not knocking that at all.
His offense pairs well with a lot of other people. The problem is the way that they book him, or the way that he books himself, because he's writing the story, he suddenly doesn't do that. And
it's like a mindset change or something.
Yeah, and it's weird because he's one of the best talkers in wrestling. You know, his promos are unbelievable. But the promo, classic Vince McMahon, which is funny because he absolutely loathes it, but it's classic Vince McMahon and Cornette. There we go. First mention of Cornette of the day. He mentioned that Vince McMahon goes for the sizzle over the steak. It's so true. Bray Wyatt is all sizzle and no steak in this thing because it builds, but you know the match is going to be bad. And it's like what you just said about Hulk Hogan, where all his angles would build and build and build and build and build. You knew the match was going to suck because it's WWE's Hulk Hogan. And you compare that to the horror movie Fiend Bray Wyatt, this new Bray Wyatt as well. The matches limit what he can do in the ring based on his character. He can't have this 20-25 minute great match that we saw him have as Eater of Worlds, where he was trying to get Daniel Bryan into the cult, you know, and when he was feuding with Randy Orton before the maggot stuff, of course. But, you know, even his tag team stuff, you know, there's a really classic match where he and Roman Reigns team up. They're really good matches. Exactly. But he's very good. But as this character, it doesn't translate to wrestling. I think that's the issue. Yeah. So the only way to get him to be good for a lot of people is for him to get his head out of his ass. And that's it.
Not easy. That's not easy because he's so repetitive in his way because that's just who he is. Exactly. It's complicated, and I think Yeti Boy, in the sense of it, I can see his comment. He says, "Yeti Boy says, I agree with Sharv. He's put in the ring and has been doing spooky things for too long. I don't enjoy him because a lot of people do. I don't think anyone here can disagree. Like how fantastic, in terms of mindset, he is. He is one of the best creative minds. He would actually be better off right now retiring and just becoming a creative writer.
He's not good for wrestling, but the direction that the MCU is going." You're telling me they don't want a Bray Wyatt?
He would be awesome in
film directing. Especially when you look at movies like Morbius and you look at Doctor Strange 2, how they're starting to go a bit more horror with the MCU.
You'd be perfect.
You're telling me Bray Wyatt wouldn't be good for that? You know? Like, it's...
I feel sorry for him in that way.
I feel like because he was a wrestler, he has to remain a wrestler. I think he feels that way. Ultimately, he would benefit more if he was just a character in the MCU, or if he was directing that sort of stuff, writing a screenplay, even outside the MCU, you know, DC or something completely different, his own independent projects. He has enough of a name that he'd be able to launch himself in filmmaking. And then we don't need to see this character that ultimately doesn't work in wrestling, where despite what AEW would throw at WWE for so long, wins and losses have always mattered.
Absolutely.
So when this spooky character doesn't really sell anything, it doesn't translate to wrestling because we want to see the struggle. We want to see the back and forth. There's no back and forth. There's just forth with a horror movie villain. It's like if Jason was... I was about to say if Jason was in a wrestling ring, but that actually happened in Independence, didn't it?
Yep, unfortunately. And that does come out of Sharp's latest comment, which is spot on. It's attaching his unnecessary lore and backstory. He has been a spooky guy for 10 years. I enjoyed early Bray and Fiend, though. So did I. Like, I completely agree. I thought they were fantastic moments. I thought his creative mind worked brilliant with Woken Hardy, because obviously Broken wasn't allowed in WWE because obviously it was copyrighted by Impact. But it's another great concept. And that's certainly something that we can reflect on. We won't move away from Bray Wyatt because I want to ask your question. I'm going to throw it to the live chat as well.
Okay.
Who was your MVP of the night? not necessarily MVP, but like who, like also you're a basketball fan, so just in the sense of it, like MVP itself, who do you
For
think
the
was
Royal
your
Rumble?
overall? Like, because I can't choose between Gunther and Rhea Ripley because I thought both were outstanding.
See, Gunther was the guy that I had. But my honourable mention is actually Logan Paul.
Ooh, okay.
Guy's an absolute star. And I love the fact that they just planted a singular seed. And that is Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul at WrestleMania.
All because of one elimination.
Fantastic match that they could have. And, you know, that moment, him and Ricochet, that's unbelievable. And it was so safe as well.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we're going to meet in the middle. We're going to, like, clothesline each other. And that'll be it. But yeah, Logan Paul was fantastic, but I can't give him MVP because I've got to give it to Gunther. The fact that he and Cody were the final two, and I still felt that Gunther could win, that shows something. It's not like previous final twos. You know, like people were like, oh, Nakamura versus Roman Reigns, and like, oh, they could give this to Reigns. That was a different feeling to what you had with Cody and Gunther because we're not sick of seeing Gunther. And Gunther hasn't done anything that's turned the fans on him in a shoot sense. So we boo Gunther because he is a heel, but we don't boo Gunther because we don't want to see him.
Exactly.
We, in fact, boo him a lot because we want him to be seen. So he becomes this sort of mega heel, the number one heel in the company when Roman Reigns goes away. I genuinely think he could be that. This was unbelievable. You know, was it his first Rumble? Or no, he'd been in the Brock one.
Yeah.
Didn't he? No, he was.
No,
he was in another one, wasn't he?
Not that I can recall. I think this was his first actual Rumble. Yeah.
Well, his first Rumble with a sort of feature performance, and he goes that far. Like he opens it. Him and Sheamus. We know all the history there, but Gunther was this guy that everyone just kept bouncing off of. It's like what I said in the build-up. Now, I didn't say it was going to be those two. I said Lashley and Brock because people could bounce off of Lashley. Now, Lashley and Brock did, of course, have their moment, had their angle, but they sort of flipped. So, I had Sheamus and Gunther being the ones that came out in the middle, brawled off, eliminated each other.
Yeah.
And I had Lashley and Lesnar as the two that hung around, or at very least Lashley.
You did.
And it happened the other way, where Gunther and Sheamus hung around. Sheamus and Drew play well off each other. Gunther eliminates both of them.
Yep.
It just continues. It's fantastic storytelling. Gunther is clear MVP of the night. I do recognise Rhea Ripley. I think it's a bit of a shame that the fans had obviously already seen a Rumble.
Yeah.
So it just didn't mean as much, really, like when you think about it. But no, Rhea Ripley was fantastic. Absolutely. Billy, how is Eilidh going to react when we get Gunther versus Brock at Mania? Now the final match. Well, I want Gunther against Brock.
She said that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think Gunther and Brock Lesnar is a fantastic match. Obviously with Gunther going over, because this has to be the passing of the torch. Gunther and Morgan. Liv Morgan's a good shout, actually, for MVP.
She done really well for entry number 2. She doesn't clear number 1, but hey ho, she did really well. She did do really well, to be fair.
Yeah, no, and of course,
I already know he's not going to wrestle. Yeah. I already know he's not going to be at WrestleMania. But here's something, Billy. Here's something just for you. This is just for you. Happy not winning my quiz at the first attempt Saturday for you as well. Abu saying Dark Asuka, Gunther and Liv Morgan. Why is nobody mentioning
Dark Asuka was awesome.
It was, to be fair, and that's generally she'll become when we come up with Elimination Chamber briefly. We'll be bringing her up. Kudos to Logan Paul and Ricochet. Yeah, that was a good spot. Spot.
So what I'm sensing here?
Ooh, that's interesting.
No, because I don't know how long Brock's got left.
How, like, all right, okay then. I'll put this to you, Abdul, then. How long would you have waited for Gunther versus Brock then? Because to be fair, Gunther at WrestleMania will not be the Intercontinental Champion. If consider the fact
That's a bold shout from you.
In fairness, though, you cannot have Brock versus Gunther for the IC title.
Yes, you can.
You can't.
They seemed like they were going to be building Brock and Lashley for the US title, so
That would never be for a title either. That's
no, it's not going to be now. But
it would. I don't think it ever would have been anyway.
Actually, can I even say it's not going to be? Well, I can because of the chamber, but I mean, it could be.
I generally don't think you would get Brock versus Gunther for a title. The IC title does not appeal. I don't think it appeals to Brock in any way.
Maybe Brock just wants to prove he's still, you got a lot to learn, young man, sort of thing.
Yeah, but when you think about it, though, there's only one thing he ever wants: elevate young talent, or elevate talent already are to a higher level, or be world champion. And to answer this question, Billy, no, it'll be one-on-one. It'll be Bianca versus Dark Asuka. If they add anyone else in this match, it'll be absolutely stupid. We don't need any more in. We don't need Liv Morgan. Keep her out of the title scene for now until SummerSlam. We don't need Raquel Rodriguez to try and force her way in because she's not actually needed right now. Natalya, stay the hell away. You're finished. In fact, to be fair, I'd have her get squashed at WrestleMania by Shayna Baszler, to be honest. I'm just at that point that just give it a singles match. Bianca versus Asuka on its own is already good quality on its own. And that can go 20-25 minutes. They've both got enough. You don't need...
Jeez, Sharv. That's not very nice.
It's a bit harsh to look at the second word he's used, but Asuka's the best talent in that Elimination Chamber, whether you like it or not. Nobody in that Elimination Chamber is better than her. Like, she is the best thing in there. I'm not
quite sure, Abel. I think you get enough build out of Gunther and Brock if after Brock beats Lashley, Gunther's music just hits.
Possibly.
Because, I mean, the Intercontinental title gets defended this Friday. That match isn't on the card, which is good because it's a joke of a challenger, quite frankly.
It should have been carried.
It'll be a good spotlight for him, but it's going to be a strong match. I suppose they want an actual feud when it's Gunther and Cross. I never like having a title match where there's it's very clear there's not going to be a title change here because AEW is really, really bad for that. We'll come on to it.
We'll be butchering soon. We'll be butchering AEW very soon.
I don't like these sort of title matches, but it's there's no chance. You have absolutely no chance because there is no way. I will come on the show and declare that Brock Lesnar is the greatest of all time if Madcap Moss defeats Gunther for the IC title. I'll say it.
You better run. I'm going to say this as well.
There's no way Madcap Moss defeats Gunther for the belt.
There's no way this match lasts more than 5 minutes.
Don't want any nonsense for if it's DQ or count out. He has to win the belt. There's not a chance.
Fair enough. That's fair. I'm going to say this, though. Lashley beating Lesnar Elimination Chamber makes sense to end the feud. Lashley will not win the IC title. The IC title is staying on SmackDown. It'll have to be someone else. It'll have to be someone who's actually there, ready to go, and you can put the title on. Yeah, the best option's been the best option is definitely Sheamus for it. And as much
made a good point, and they made a really bad point right after it.
yeah, that's Sharp for you. Sharp is hot and cold.
So it's not impressed with Cross's booking as well. You're no, I get that.
Not sure.
And then says respect Madcap Moss. No,
I respect Rick Boogs.
He's the face Boogs. Happy Corbin.
Yeah. I respect Rick Boogs because he at least makes the Miz look a mockery and it winds you up. But I agree. As much as I love Karrion Kross, he really is flowing down, and it's ridiculous how bad it's fallen. But I'm hoping that they can fix that. Abel says, then again, you got a point because we need IC title match at WrestleMania. Yeah, you know what you could do? You can throw a twist. There is one.
Gunther and Brock's heel versus heel. Really. People cheer Brock. So, Brock's the face all of a sudden because Cowboy Brock, isn't he cookie? No, he's awful. But, as in boring, not bad at wrestling, before you jump at me again, comments.
There is one option they could do, though, I think, and it would actually work.
Okay.
The IC title is the Working Man's Championship. We all know this, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's stopping them What's I'll bring that up in just a moment. What is it that's stopping them from, say, having Johnny Gargano having a spin where he doesn't win the US title, but he somehow ends up on SmackDown, he wins the IC title? You've got a working man's champion right there, right now.
Yeah, I still think they're holding off for Tyler Bate to do it. Or Pete Dunne.
Could do, but they can't wait too much longer. If they want to have... They can.
I about to say Walter there. Gunther is carrying that belt like he carried the Progress Atlas Championship. He could hold it for a long time. And the WWE UK title. He could be the IC champ 2 years from now and we won't be bored of it. Because it's the IC title. It's just there. And he will have it.
Respected.
And he elevates it to a level. Now, of course, it would be more respected if we weren't booking joke matches on Friday Night SmackDown against joke challengers.
Yes.
Trying to put credibility behind Madcap Moss with one win over, he pinned Rey Mysterio, which, well, everyone's done that recently. But yeah, the IC title on Gunther's fine. Keep it there, you know. We don't want to put it back on a smaller guy like Gargano because all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, well, anyone could win this now, and it's Baron Corbin. You know, because Baron Corbin said he was too small. You know, you only have Gargano win it if Ciampa is close to returning.
Yeah, because that's because you've got something there. The only thing is, though, right? I've got no issue with
go after it if Gargano had it.
I've got no issue. Like the only other thing is Rollins is sadly on Raw. I'd have had Rollins as IC champion because I actually liked his IC title run.
Oh yeah, Monday Night Rollins was fantastic.
Yeah. I think what you could realistically do, though, I don't mind Gunther having a long title reign. I'd rather have him have a long title reign than Roman Reigns because Gunther's there every single bloody week. And he acts like a champion. In terms of the IC title, like, it's still the working man's title. You need to have a worker do it. Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate are not a bad idea, but it's how long you can feasibly hold off before you pull that trigger. I don't know because Gunther's just going to keep getting better and better and better as champion.
But Tyler Bate is a big strong boy.
Oh, he is. But it's
Tyler Bate's a big strong boy. He could have it for a long time.
It could, but you know what I'm saying?
Just start treating the IC title like the UK title, where every reign just about was every reign. I'm trying to think.
Every reign was a long.
Every reign, maybe apart from Bate, but I don't know how long Bate had it. It was still a while.
I mean, even so, like Pete Dunne held it for 500 plus days. Gunther as Walter held it for 840 days. Like
and of course the pandemic figures into that as well. But I liked UK because NXT UK respected its titles. When there was any title change on NXT UK, you were like, "Whoa, really?" And unlike WWE, and here's our moment where we're about to roll into a new topic, or AEW with its championships.
Absolutely. Yep, that's the one. Ilya Dragunov. Yep, he had.
Yeah, I was like, there was a short reign, wasn't there? Dragunov, that was it. I was like, who got it after Gunther? It was obviously Dragunov. Yeah, that happened on Takeover, didn't it?
It did, yeah. This is a good point, actually.
Or was it after they'd stopped calling them takeovers?
After that.
No.
It does in a way, even though it's Dom and he is a little shit, right? It actually does make a little bit of sense because obviously we know at WrestleMania they are going to pull the trigger. They're going to put the title on Rhea. She's going to be a Grand Slam champion. She'll be only the third Grand Slam champion in WWE. They're going to do it. Dom is completely cucked by her. He is a Rhea cuck. He is stuck in that spot. And
so Dom shouldn't defeat Gunther.
He can go to SmackDown and still relatively actually beat. He could still be that cowardly champion. It would still get him ripped to pieces.
Gunther, though.
It draws attention. Oh yeah, it would. Because look at
don't have Dom. It's got to be a respectable. Gunther's title reign has to be this stuff of legacy that someone comes along who can strengthen. You know, that's why I'm saying Tyler Bate, Pete Dunne, that sort of brute strength
Mhm.
against the heart of the challenger. And that's what
True.
it's got to come down to. I don't like the idea of Gunther losing the title and the winner being booed.
What about Finn Balor then?
It could happen, but again, he's heel at the moment. We need a face to do it. Because
One of those two are turning heel though. It's either going to be Damian Priest or Finn Balor. One of them
I
will
know,
be turning
but
heel after WrestleMania.
Gunther has to be the big bad. He has to be, when you lose, it has to be like big moment. That's why Gargano works for that. I just don't trust. I should probably trust because obviously Triple H is in charge now. So maybe Gargano is a good one. Anyway, so we've got loads of questions coming in. We'll deal with this one. Yeah, so that's another thing we could do. Seth dissing Punk, possible build up to WrestleMania. I thought that until Logan Paul. Now I think they're going to go in the Seth Rollins, Logan Paul direction. Anyway, moving on. We were talking about disrespecting a championship and disrespecting a champion. I am about to get on the soapbox, Reece. It's been a few weeks since I've been actively negative of something. I told you this morning, we were talking about how the AEW shows have been going, and you said they've been losing viewers, and I've been following that along. I haven't watched it for a few weeks because, to be honest, it doesn't feel nearly as must-see as all the Bloodline stuff in WWE and even the other stuff as well. My problem is this. I watched the highlights from Dynamite. I watched the highlights from Rampage, or at least some. Here's what I saw on this week's Rampage. You tell me if this, so on this week's Dynamite and Rampage, you tell me if this sounds like a show that knows what it's doing.
Considering I told you the card as well.
Yeah. Kenny Omega rolled up AR Fox in the Trios title match. Stark rolled up Matt Menard in the 2-on-1 sort of you fight one, then fight the other deal. The Guns rolled up the Acclaimed, okay, after cheating, but still rolled them up. And Danielson's pin on Rush looked like a roll-up, but it was more of a stack. So I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. He did hit the finisher. And on Rampage, Pockets did what Pockets does. Orange Cassidy rolled up Moriarty. Does that sound like a show that knows what it's doing? Because to me, that sounds like a show that's like, oh, we need all the challengers to look strong. No challenger can just go down. So all the champions win by roll-up? Or like more champions win by roll-up? They win by chance? Kenny Omega defeating AR Fox, getting that pin, seemed like luck. And I saw comments like, AR Fox deserves a run with Major Gold. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Come on. Like, there's people in that company. Danielson, obviously. But even that, Jay Lethal's there, man. And you're going, oh, let's give AR Fox the big one. Like, no, let's not do that. This show doesn't know what it's doing. That's the end of the soapbox. Let's discuss. So, Does AEW know what it's doing? I don't think so.
I think AEW is actually in decline, personally, and I like AEW, but I actually think Yeti Boy says AEW this year has been brilliant. I said the Jericho stuff. Partially, I just think the fact is they couldn't even get close to their average ratings. They averaged 900,000 a week, and they were generally 10,000, 15,000 less than that last week's show because of title eliminators. Not knowing what you're doing in terms of booking, that's serious problems. And it's a reflection of the direction that they have to actually look at. And I'm thinking, again, we have to come back to those in charge. Just haven't got a fucking clue. And Billy, stop crying over half a point. Stop crying.
And take care, Abil, as well. Thanks for tuning
take
in,
care,
bud,
buddy.
Hope you enjoy it when you catch it on the replay. Just on demand, actually, not in replay. But
exactly. No, but it's that sense though, the booking and all that. And in terms of making clear-cut decisions like roll up, having 3 championship matches on Dynamite, like it's not a bloody pay-per-view.
But it was championship fight night. Reece, it was championship
bollocks.
fight night. They got to do something, otherwise people don't watch. 2019 AEW was
bend
so
over and
good
call
and
me a
so fresh.
We'll bend over and call
Yeah.
me a milkshake. But even so, like,
If
it's just not going.
2019 AEW had a hard cam, I probably would have enjoyed it.
It's spot on, Sean.
But it
There's
took
some
them a
people.
while to get the hard cam in, so it was genuinely giving me motion sickness. But
Yeah.
then they sorted it, and there was some really good. I thought 2021 AEW had some really good stuff on it. 2021, I was watching quite a bit. 2022, start of the year when Punk was around, I was watching those shows weekly.
See what would go on. Yeah, exactly.
But it goes up and down my interest in this company, and this is what I said a few weeks ago. WWE is always there. WWE is always like, oh, poke my head in the door, see what's going on. AEW, it's like I need to hear some kind of major buzz about something before I'll go and check it out, and it has declined to the point where once again we're back onto the fast tracking and the hot shotting and everything like that, and it was championship fight night, but the poster for the night had all the championship matches round the outside and Jericho in the middle, who isn't a champion.
Exactly.
So what do you think's going on there?
I think there must be something major going on with Jericho that they're actually trying to propel. I think in terms of tenure, longevity, overall work, nobody in AEW, I've said this on here before, there's nobody in AEW that matches Jericho in terms of work ethic, creative mindset, and just overall understanding of the business. And I'm not knocking
it. Psycho he is.
Yeah, so I'm not knocking anyone in AEW like MJF. I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking one of my favourites in Pentagon Jr. I'm not knocking Kenny Omega or the Young Bucks in that way, or even Matt Hardy, who's there and doing things differently, or Christian, who understands the business as well. I'm not knocking them at all. But when you look at evolution and adaptation of a character or a gimmick or just your overall body of work, name anyone in AEW, WWE, Impact, New Japan, name me anybody, and I dare you to name anybody that's done that more than Chris Jericho. I think there's only one name, and he retired several years ago.
Yeah, well, when you said, up until you said more, CM Punk, who's the obvious guy, everything he built on the show was great. He is a dick. 100%. Wouldn't go back on that at all. But he made the show interesting. You did always want to sort of hear. Well, you almost always wanted to hear him. You wanted to hear him when the mask started to slip. So after that first dance, is that what it's called? Or was it called Last? I can't remember now. First Dance was. The documentary was called Last Dance, right?
The basketball one, that's Last Dance.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what they called their show. But the one that Punk came back, the thing was there, Punk was allowed to be this like, so happy to be back, everything like that. He was able. The next few weeks, he just sort of did the same thing.
Yeah.
It was MJF calling him out on that made him interesting. Because MJF was like, I'm so happy to be here in insert name of town. I'm so excited for my match against insert name of opponent. Like that. When he got called out for that, interesting CM Punk came out. Now, okay, he was still a douche, but he did make it more interesting. Jericho. So the problem with Jericho is that his feuds go on for too long with the wrong person going over. Usually Jericho. I think the problem with Jericho is that he has no natural slot on this. I mean, he is the Miz. He is
good point.
The guy that they get all the celebrity crossover promotion-y stuff with. He's the guy that does all the silly comedy segments. He's the guy that's got an entourage. And this week he beat up the Impractical Jokers and put them through a table.
It's the letdown part.
Like, is that building to a match? Is he having a match against the Impractical Jokers?
I think so.
Surely not.
That's where it's at. It's absolutely crap. Like,
yeah. Did you hear the recent interview with Tony Khan? how he was talking about how he's changed his booking process, and all he does is talk about how he's flipped to the page.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange thing, eh? Like what he's done
he,
is
he
very
sounds psychotic.
yeah. It's almost like I would have said it's a bit like you try to be methodical, but you end up being completely passé. It's quite alarming, really. It's very alarming.
Yeah, and of course we've got. I mean, can anyone tell me the date for Revolution? It's in like a month, isn't it?
I think it is. Let me just double check the exact.
It's usually like start of March, isn't it?
Yeah,
Um,
I'm not. I don't think it's going to, unless they change things around. I'm generally not.
unless it's
looking
like
for
at the end of February this time. But I mean, so what have we got? We've got MJF versus Danielson, 60-minute Iron Man match, and then what?
I'll tell you just now, actually, because I've got it all here.
Jamie Hayter as champion is treading water, having challengers put in front of her like the bunny.
March 5th.
March 5th, yeah. So they have 3 weeks.
It's also in California as well.
That's
It's the
not
first
bad,
one.
right?
It's the first
4
pay-per-view
weeks?
held in California as well. Yeah, we're getting the 60-minute Iron Man match. So we already know, like, there's going to be at least, we already know classic AEW, there's going to be at least, like, 20 matches on this because it's typical. Like, they always go over the top of character-wise. But the only match booked so far is the 60-minute Iron Man match.
Yeah. And then even if you're theorizing, what's going to happen? They're not going to have the Hayter and Baker match at Revolution. I can't see them doing that. So
Nah,
who
no
does
way.
Hayter face? Who's credible enough in that division that Hayter can just face them?
Jade
You know?
Cargill?
Do you think? Do you think they give Jade Cargill? Do
Would you
you
not
think they
give her a
give Jamie
chance?
Hayter Jade Cargill streak?
I think you could. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think Jade Cargill's undefeated streak is absolutely fantastic. I think she's been amazing. I think she's got better and better every week. I rate Jade Cargill. I've spoken about her here before. I really do rate Jade Cargill. She doesn't have to stay unbeaten. She's not like Goldberg. She won't fall away if she gets beat
But
once.
she did just get her 50th win. So whoever takes that from her, it has to be a storyline. It can't just be the champion rolling, like, steamrolling someone with 50 wins.
As long as it's not the following 2 people, actually 3 people, because one of them is due to return eventually. As long as it's not Saraya, as long as it's not Britt Baker, and as long as it's not Thunder Rosa. Those 3.
So you'd be okay with Riho doing it?
Not bad thing, because it would generally infuriate. I think Riho's long overdue.
It would be a double turn.
She's long overdue a very good feud. I think that would cause chaos if she's the one to beat Cargill. But I would not be opposed to Jamie Hayter. I wouldn't be opposed to I generally would not be opposed to her losing to Tony Storm either. I think it has to be someone who's just genuinely credible.
Yeah, I'm glad Yeti Boy's in the know. That's not a bad card that you've come up with there. I'm not interested in deathmatch stuff, but Mox versus Hangman's obviously that's the way they're heading. I think we just have to accept it is going to be some kind of hardcore stipulation.
It will eventually, yeah.
Wardlow versus Joe's okay. FTR versus the Guns.
Eddie Kingston has a match next Saturday as well. He's got a very good match next Saturday. He's got Jay White on there.
done?
Not fully.
I mean, because they've dropped all their belts.
They're not done yet, though. Not yet.
So what you think they have one more run with or they just put the Guns over on their way out?
I think they'll put the Guns on the way out.
Because I think FTR, if they're not, so they won't be at WrestleMania because they don't have enough time to figure it in. That's before you even take into account non-compete clauses. But I do think FTR are coming back.
So do I.
I don't see why they wouldn't.
I hope this doesn't happen. Leave her out of the tag team scene.
They'll put
She needs to be in
Hater
there.
in a tag team match as part of the storyline. Yeah, but it's fine because
Her
at
involvement needs
least
to be in
at
there.
least they don't do what WWE do and ask the champ to go into a tag team with the number one challenger. FTR needed to drop their belts before they got the tag titles. Oh, so FTR needed to drop every other belt before they win the AEW ones, rather than having all four.
Yeah. They
Is that like
won't
a
let any
contractual thing, or like, is it because they won't have the AEW titles on other shows, or what?
both.
Because I thought they were this whole accepting. Yeah, we'll work with anyone. Is that gone?
I think there's I think they're trying to hold a limit to who can physically be on what and where, what time. I think they're not trying to overflood match cards. I think that's
they
what
would
they're trying
only
to do.
have to hold all four belts for a week. This is what I don't get. When they had the other three, that was the time to put the belts on FTR.
Mm-hmm.
Because then they would have had all four. And even just for a week, you would have had that visual. As it was, having 3 sets of tag belts, yep, absolutely very impressive. But it didn't mean as much because they didn't actually have the AEW ones. Sharp saying I rate Riho very highly. I think she's good.
She's very good. I like
I
her.
think she's got the Catanzaro problem, or who's now. I always forget this. Is it Katana Chance or Katana Chase?
Chase.
The former
Chase.
Casey Catanzaro got renamed. Is it Chase?
She's quality. Yeah, she's quality.
Yeah, she is, but she has that same issue that Riho does, where she's like, I feel like this is almost a dodgy thing to say. She's so small that I can't actually think the moves are hurting anyone.
Yeah, like there's not enough like damage being done. You have to.
Yeah, and Alexa Bliss overcomes that because Alexa Bliss does this whole sort of gonna jerk the limbs and I'm gonna snap at the fingers. I'm gonna do all these horrible things to you. It's like torture sort of thing. And if Casey Catanzaro or Riho worked a more mat style, I think it would work. The problem is they don't. I mean, Casey Catanzaro's finisher is meant to be this like back body drop sort of thing, and you're like, I get it's like you're landing with your whole weight on them, but it's your whole weight. It doesn't look like it hurts. It barely makes a sound off the mat or off the opponent. So it's just one of those things. They had to drop the AAA ones. They didn't want AEW stars to be their champions. All right, so it was like a relationship fallout.
The only exception,
absolutely, the Briscoes loss made sense, but then you have the Briscoes be the ones. Obviously, we're talking back then. You have the Briscoes be the ones that start the House of Cards falling down.
Yep.
Because what that would have done is set up another match where it's like everything was fine until you sort of came along. Of course, that'd be awkward, and to even talk about what they could have done now, because of course fate works in a really weird way in the butterfly effect, and had anything been done differently, who knows. And obviously still condolences, of course, and we do miss the Briscoes as they were. Riho's leaks above Alexa Bliss.
I think
maybe if I spoke Japanese, I would agree with that, because I would know what Riho's like as a promo. I don't know what Riho's like as a promo, but I know that Alexa Bliss is a brilliant promo when she's heel. When she's a face, she's kind of flat, she's kind of nothing. But, you know, there's a reason a moment of Bliss actually wasn't that bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
to be fair, though,
she could be a bit heelish.
Yeah, and just going quickly back to FTR in a minute for tag team titles, they only, like, AAA only have exceptions on certain talent. They only have exceptions in terms of teams if you're the Young Bucks or the Lucha Brothers. They're the only exception. Yeah, they're the only exceptions because of the close relationship they actually have. They go down to Mexico frequently. They go back home as well, like the Lucha Brothers. They go back and do all that. The Young Bucks as well, like their career literally benefits from Mexico, and
gonna be more
100%. But that's an interesting comment. I think they're both pretty much the same in the way. I think they're pretty much the exact same, but that's just my opinion. Following on though, It's ratings and direction, though. Now, I messaged you the other night, and I was like, seriously, title eliminators. I know another AEW fan, right? I'm in a group chat with him, and he constantly raves AEW, right? Whenever we're talking about WWE, he just changes the conversation to AEW about anything, right? And he raves always like, oh, this match was a banger, or this storyline's great. He's a genuine good guy, right? But I don't think he reads between the lines. AEW is good when it's actually interesting. When the match card doesn't flow, or when the ratings are not actually high, it's for genuine reason. It's because that show was shit. I watched Dynamite last week. I thought the too many championship matches takes away the flow of any natural flow. I think title eliminators actually disrupts the whole point of bring back a fucking number one contender. What happened to the whole number one contender concept? AEW is fucking stupid when it comes to this. I think title eliminators actually defeat the purpose. When you actually have the champion involved in a title eliminator, it makes no sense. It's genuinely a stupid concept. So I'm just going to throw this out. What exactly do they need to do to change things? Because I'm sick and tired of seeing it change.
First of all, they need to stop booking this storyline. Greg and I talk about it basically every time AEW comes into conversation. This thing, and I think it's part of MJF's character where he goes, oh, you're going to have to fight this person, and then this person, and then this person, and then this person, and then you get to fight me. It's okay as a concept once. And you know the way that you keep it interesting as a concept?
You do it one time only.
Sometimes, if you're going to keep it a thing, set up, I don't know, set up a guy who's like upper mid card. No, a guy who's like upper mid card is the next guy to go after MJF. Say Jungle Boy goes, I'm going after you, MJF. I'm coming for that belt. Jungle Boy loses the second match.
Yes.
Not to MJF. Loses one of the matches. Because we haven't seen what happens when you lose one of those matches. And really, it should just be MJF goes, guess you won't be fighting me then. The problem is there's no jeopardy like that. When he said Danielson's going to have to go through several opponents to get to him, we knew Danielson was going to do it. Because of course he was. They weren't going to book Rush versus MJF. As solid a wrestler as he is, they weren't going to book Takeshita against MJF. They did that on the show. They weren't going to put that on pay-per-view. Yeah, but they're not going to put these mid-card guys against MJF on pay-per-view. So we know it's going to be Danielson. So why do they keep booking it that way? So obviously, like, yeah, you got to go through these people and then I'll fight you. Because all you do is you waste surprises, you waste returns, you spoil the momentum of other wrestlers because the guy that you're putting in the number one spot has to win them. And there's Yeti Boy. Those MJF gauntlets are overdone. At least we get good matches. We do get good matches. But you know what else is a good match? You know what else would work? A number one contenders match.
That's a good number one contenders match.
MJF doesn't know who he's going to fight. So Danielson faces Rush. There you go. And then if you want Timothy Thatcher to make a surprise appearance, just book a match. Just go, okay, Danielson's going to fight Thatcher. It's none of this, because then there's at least jeopardy. You know, what if Thatcher's got people on the inside, and what if they beat down Danielson? What if MJF's paid Thatcher off? And so the whole thing is Thatcher's got to try and like break his ankle or something. You know?
Exactly.
Add some jeopardy into it, because there's no jeopardy to going, okay, beat 4 people and face me. You know? It's like a fuck draft.
Exactly. We shouldn't have to constantly run the gauntlet. There's no need. There's generally no need to do it. It would be all right to see the champion.
Equally, for a babyface to just go, no, not doing that.
The only way I like this concept, if it works right, is if MJF actually goes up against a gauntlet of opponents himself, similar to what Punk had to do with Dolph Ziggler at the Royal Rumble in 2012. He went for everybody. We knew he was going to get screwed by John Laurinaitis. We knew it was going to happen. He didn't get screwed, but you look at the opponents, Dolph Ziggler's the one that beat him in the gauntlet, so Ziggler got the main event at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, Yeti Boy confirming that I know how the show works without watching it. MJF did pay Thatcher injury. So just do that then. Don't have a match. There's a Thatcher jumping backstage, try and break his ankle. Do things differently, Tony. It does not have to be tournament and title eliminator and run NJF's gauntlet, because we know what way that's going to go. And it doesn't all need to be, this is a title match, everyone watch, because the women's title's on the line with Jamie Hayter against the Bunny. Well, the Bunny isn't going to win, is she? I mean, come on now. It's the thing we just said about Madcap. Come on now. You could book something more exciting. That's the problem. It's because it's so, we're just going to get to the pay-per-view because that's where the big things can happen. You'd be like, big things? The Guns just beat the Acclaimed, yeah, after all the steam ran out on the Acclaimed's title run.
Oh, that's
and after they've... Have the Guns and the Acclaimed been feuding for like 4 months now?
Yeah, it's long overdue.
So we knew the Guns were going to win eventually. And when you do title... What is it? Championship fight night. They have to have a title change hands. Otherwise, they're going to poison the gimmick. And they can't call it championship fight night again.
And you were never going to have Jamie Hayter lose the women's title right now because she's having a good run. And you weren't going to have...
The only way that would work is if Britt Baker cost her it.
Exactly.
And it's not like there's like really jeopardy. I prefer to know the next challenger before the next pay-per-view, then wait to decide who's the number one contender a couple of weeks. Yeah, but you would still know who the challenger is. The problem is, so I don't like knowing the challenger miles out, because then you've got the Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns problem again. We knew at the end of WrestleMania that the next year's... At the end of WrestleMania 33, we knew it was going to be Brock versus Roman at WrestleMania 34. We knew they were going to get there. And that was dull, because when it happened, there was no, it was, so they are doing it then.
There's one thing they could do, actually, and it's only been done, funnily enough, it was done on 2 occasions by WWE. Once because it was perfectly planned, because obviously Michaels lost his smile, and the other one was obviously he still won the Rumble, but he had to defend his number one contender spot because obviously fans still wanted Daniel Bryan in the WrestleMania main event. So what you could technically do, they don't do a Royal Rumble contest themselves, but they do have a Battle Royal. They do have the casino Battle Royal thing. They have all that. Here's an option. You have the winner of the gauntlet who's going to face the champion. But in lead up to that, you have someone come across or several contenders come across who are like, actually, no, you aren't good enough to face the champion. And you end it in a fatal 4-way and you determine who the real number one contender is. They'd done it in 97. Steve Austin won the Rumble, but obviously that was quite controversial. So what did they do? They made a fatal 4-way at the event that Michaels lost his smile, which in a way changed all that, because then Bret Hart became the champion after he won the fatal 4-way, like the final 4 matches it was called. He then lost it to Psycho Sid just after. You could do that effectively.
Yeah, MJF could be like, I'm waiting at the end of the night. Like how Daniel Bryan had to fight Triple H on WrestleMania to be in the main event. You could have the Fatal 4-way on the card, and then MJF is in the main event against the winner of the Fatal 4-way. And that way MJF still got his character bit. Like, no, you have to earn it, but you don't drag it out over weeks of television.
It's just straight into the
title match was Omega versus Page. You knew it would happen, but he lost in a match.
Exactly.
There you go. Jeopardy. Things that... Because it's like... what they do right now is like if Kofi Kingston won the gauntlet.
Exactly.
He had to win it to challenge Danielson. Well, Daniel Bryan at the time. When Kofi had to challenge Daniel Bryan, he thought he'd won the gauntlet, but Daniel Bryan was the final opponent.
Exactly. Complete swerve.
So he came down, stopped him, won the match, major heat on Bryan. Then they thought of another way out of it. This is what separates good booking from great booking, because then you had the New Day gauntlet. and every interaction in the New Day Gauntlet was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It was just so good. And if you watched that and you weren't rooting for the New Day, you just don't have a soul, I'm afraid, to borrow a Chris Jerichoism. If you could sit there going, I don't like this New Day very much. No, they captured everyone. Heart, soul, and attention. And that's what would separate it. If you had stories where the babyface failed before the main event, because they'd be like, oh, there actually is jeopardy to this. It's actually worth watching, and not, oh, Danielson's going to have a good match against Rush and win. Because you know he's going to win. It was obvious. Yeah. So I think that's how you fix it. Speaking of number one contenders, speaking of obvious, does it seem so obvious in Montreal now, Reece? Does it seem so obvious for the Elimination Chamber? Or is something insane about to happen, to borrow Paul Heyman's words?
That's the question of questions. That's the question of questions.
Firstly, I want to say Paul Heyman, you spoke about MVP. Paul Heyman's the MVP of this week, because he has been fantastic all week. The promo with Cody was fantastic. And then the promo on Friday, I can't work out which is better, to be honest. I think Monday was more Heyman.
Yeah.
But Friday was better because it was the scared Heyman. Monday was like the weaselly Heyman.
Smug.
Yeah, he was smug on Monday and he was terrified on Friday. But it was the two perfect sides of that Paul Heyman character on show, that he bragged and then he was scared. Monday he was arrogant and Friday he was intimidated. And
that's the bit that's puzzling me, though.
Yeah.
This is the bit that puzzles me, and this is the strange part. Why is he so confident about Rhodes, but yet he's so intimidated by Zayn?
Because
when you look at it, it's clever, but ideally, you'd be more nervous about the man that won the Rumble. Zayn was in the inside, yes, but relatively as a threat, working-wise, he doesn't pose that kind of threat that Rhodes does. But what he does at least offer you, though, is an inside break. He can break you on that inside, which he has done. He has broken. Roman Reigns is broken, which makes it even more subtle, more interesting, more poignant. But for Heyman, the level of promo difference on Monday, it was about, oh, I've got respect for your dad. He said you were his favorite son. All this, like XYZ, and then Heyman was winning that promo. Like
that one line won him the whole pro. The whole promo's fantastic, people. I urge you.
He almost
after
won
this show. No, I think, see that line where he was like, Cody, your father said to me that you were his favorite son, and he pulls him in like, but that Roman Reigns was the son he always wanted. You're like, oh.
He had him there. He had him. But
so good.
This is why he lost the promo for me.
Oh, go on.
If the promo had ended there and then with Cody Rhodes' shocked face just leaving the ring in disappointment, it would have been over, right? It would have been perfect. Heyman would have won that promo with ease. But you get one last line from Rhodes. I'm going to beat your boy at WrestleMania. That kills Heyman completely. Because at that point, Heyman was stunned. He had no last words on that. He had no comment. You see the signature Cody Rhodes smirk as well, which adds heat to it as well, gives a little bit more fire, a little bit more entertainment. Paul Heyman was stunned. Very rarely that happens. Very rarely, unless he allows it to happen. So Cody Rhodes won the promo on Monday Night Raw. He won the promo by luck of one line.
Which game was it? There was one of the games that came out. One of the I don't know how old we're going back, but you would genuinely have to do promo battles. Like it was based on how you delivered the line. There was 2 bars. It would be you and your opponent, and it would be about who won the actual promo.
Oh, that was
and
the old 2K games. It was an earlier 2K game.
Yeah, sometimes it would mean that you got attacked at the end of the promo, and sometimes it would mean you attacked the person. So if you lost the promo, you would attack them. Do you think that promo was too early? I don't, for one reason, and it was the same reason I'm tying into what you're saying about why is he afraid of Zayn but not Rhodes? Rhodes isn't reality yet. He's doing really well at this, Paul Heyman, because despite him saying that it is a spoiler, and we all know what that means, he got a spoiler wrong on Friday. Sami Zayn isn't here tonight. Sami Zayn was there. Sami Zayn confronted him in the ring. Sami Zayn is the reality at the moment. He's the one that the bloodline know they have to deal with.
Yeah.
Cody isn't there yet. And I like that instead of going with that whole, gloss... You know, like when Fastlane was a show?
Oh, that was shit.
Gloss over the Fastlane challenger and go into Mania. And unless you're Bayley and you have to defeat Charlotte because there's a streak going. Sorry, other way round. If you're Bayley and Charlotte has to beat you because there's some kind of pay-per-view streak going on.
And that, we all know what happened.
Yeah, and that was obviously Fastlane. I think it was that way around. Anyway, something like that.
She lost at the Rumble anyway. She lost it to her at the Rumble.
Yeah, so the Bayley then beat her at Fastlane.
She beat her twice.
It was to end Charlotte Flair's pay-per-view streak. Like, whoa. But yeah, I like that rather than going, we'll gloss over Sami and go straight to Cody. I like that, like, no, Sami is the danger. Sami is here and now. And that's why, like, I preferred the Paul Heyman promo on Monday, but the Friday one did lay the whole scenario out better. The island of relevancy is under a 2-pronged attack.
Yeah,
I like that.
You're being attacked you're being attacked from the legacy option, and you're being attacked by the inside option.
You know, there could actually be 3 prongs.
Jey Uso.
Yeah.
Already underway.
Jey Uso is fantastic in this role.
There's just one problem with this role. There's just one problem.
Go on then.
It's still rumoured Owens and Zayn versus the Uso brothers at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
Not a bad thing. I think you should stick with the flux of that. It must remain in motion. But at WrestleMania, Jey Uso must hit the super kick on Jimmy Uso. And then Jimmy Uso must take the haluva kick. He must take the pinfall at WrestleMania. It must not be Jey Uso. If Jey Uso takes the pin at WrestleMania, then you may as well send Jey Uso back to NXT. Because that's him finished.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that's a bold call to kill his career. I'm saying that purely because his role is about how he goes from here. He should not be the one that's responsible for the loss of their long reign as SmackDown champions. Because the Raw one was just involved in it. They were already SmackDown champions, just Raw was added in eventually. Yeah. Their long SmackDown reign, it must end with Jimmy Uso's defeat. Jimmy Uso must take the defeat. Jey Uso has to be the one that causes the defeat. But it must be Sami Zayn that gets the win. If Kevin Owens gets the win, it's just another Kevin Owens win. It's just another Kevin Owens result. It's got to have that added impact.
See, I get you. What I can see happening is Kevin Owens hits the stunner and Jimmy Uso bounces into the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And Sami Zayn haluva kicks him from there.
Could do.
I think that's a combination that could work because obviously we've seen people take the stunner recently and not necessarily go down. They've sort of stumbled back up.
Yeah. Jeff Hardy used to do that with his twisted face and a stunner. It just bounces down into a stunned
Yeah,
state.
but
And he hits me
it
again.
would work if he bounced back up into the corner and was just out on his feet. Then he could get the Helluva kick. It's interesting. I mean, I wondered if they're going to have to take Jey Uso out the Usos. And it's going to have to
They
be
have
Jimmy
to.
Uso and Solo Sikoa.
Yeah.
Now, the other, that doesn't mean as much, though.
Yeah.
Because then you're spoiling a long reign, but it's not the team that's got it.
There's still one more factor as well, and this is a confusing factor. There's still one more. There's one more role to play. Actually, no, there's two more roles to play, actually. Because in actual respect, even though I can't stand him at times, we cannot ignore the world champion's role. Because he could end up having a part to play at WrestleMania as well in a different way besides being in the main event. And also, the other one, what is Solo Sikoa going to do between Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania? What's his role going to be? Because I'll be honest, and I'm saying this in great respect to Solo, I think Solo is absolutely outstanding. I was buzzing when he was at Money in the Bank, not Money in the Bank, Clash at the Castle, even though I wanted McIntyre to go over. It was a great addition to the family because obviously the Usos and Sami Zayn were not at ringside, so it was even better. I was generally in the sense of it, that's a great twist. But now we're coming to the Elimination Chamber in Montreal. We're now coming to WrestleMania. We're coming to the big show. What exactly is Solo going to do? And I'll be honest, I have no idea. I have no idea what his role's going to be. Like, I'm genuine. I haven't got a clue.
Win the Battle Royal, stay close to Roman.
Fucking Battle Royal.
Sami Zayn said all of this. And Sami Zayn on Friday was fantastic. Because he said, you know, what happened the moment Solo tried to step out of line, Roman pulled him back in. It's going to be that. Solo doesn't have to worry about the direction of his career yet.
Yeah.
He's a fresh face. And he's so heavily tied into the bloodline. He is the enforcer of the bloodline. Mm-hmm. So up until the bloodline breaks and ends and Roman goes, or whatever way this ends up going, Solo doesn't have to worry. He doesn't have to worry about the losses he takes. He doesn't have to worry about any promos that he's in. Come in, attack the people Roman Reigns tells you to, leave with Roman Reigns. Maybe take a few bullets for Roman Reigns. Absolutely fine. Because he is the enforcer, and Roman Reigns, as he said, as Sami Zayn said, the walls are closing in on him. He knows. And Roman's going to panic, and he's going to pull everyone closer and closer in, and the people who are on side. And who does Jimmy Uso side with? Does he side with you, or does he go with his twin brother who he shared the womb with? Like, it's just such great lines from Sami Zayn. This is a guy who didn't want to talk in Ring of Honor.
I know. He was so silent.
Yeah, but he's so good. And the crowd absolutely love him. And this is why I led with the question, Reece, because, you know, at the Royal Rumble, I felt genuine jeopardy. I was like, Kevin Owens is going to win this. Kevin Owens is going to win. He's going to kick out. He's kicked out of another spear. He's going to win. This is it. Kevin Owens is going to win. And, you know, fantastic. Again, just Roman Reigns matches. Roman Reigns matches are not the greatest matches. They are the greatest soap opera in wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
It's like when I was talking about the Finn Balor versus Edge I Quit match at Extreme Rules. That was soap opera wrestling. You weren't like, wow, what great back and forth technical holds. You were like, this is unbelievable. I was generally like edge in my seat, like sort of just
I'll admit, on the watch along,
cope with the excitement of the Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns match.
On the watch along, I was ecstatic the whole way through. I very rarely am when it comes to a Reigns match, but I was genuinely grasped. I was like, final, this is the match that we wanted 2 years ago.
This is why we watch wrestling, the soap opera of it. Like, the story's great. The match is good. It's not like they stopped and danced in the middle or anything.
Absolutely.
This was a match where the two guys clearly hated each other and they wanted to win and they did whatever they could. And Kevin Owens took everything and kept coming and
Including
almost got him. Yeah, and almost got him. And then just not quite. And it was masterful.
But then you got the ultimate swerve. You got that ultimate swerve of...
And since then, Sami Zayn has been the most over thing in this company. Like, even more so. You hear the pops he's getting. I've got that same feeling again, Reece. Because I don't think it's a definite. It's almost a definite on the grounds that we already have the WrestleMania graphics.
But you could also have a reinvention of maybe we do get another triple threat match.
Do we get a triple threat? Do we get a triple threat 2 out of 3 falls match and one for each title?
I would honestly be okay with that. I would generally be okay with that. And remember what I said on the Royal Rumble preview show. Whatever happens at the Elimination Chamber, if it ends up being Reigns versus Sami Zayn, which it ended up being, I said confidently Sami Zayn gets squashed, but he gets squashed for the right reasons. You squash this bitch in his hometown. Literally, he is going to get bitched at Elimination Chamber. He is going
is
to be.
He? Is he?
Yeah, he is going to get squashed. I think Reigns literally is going to go from. I think Reigns is going to go from nervous, broken to completely unstable. I would not be surprised, right, if Roman Reigns literally gets himself disqualified in Montreal. I would not be surprised if he hits a low blow.
It's a prolonged squash. Roman Reigns doesn't care about winning at this point.
Yeah, just beat the living crap out of him. Don't need to end it in 2 minutes.
He's just going to decimate him. But at the same time, you know how you're like, Cody said, I'm just trying to win a wrestling championship. Which also tells me he doesn't mind who the champ is. It's such a clever line from Cody.
And we've
Everyone's
said that as well.
trying to make it personal, and I'm just trying to win a wrestling championship. Because what he's done there is he's basically gone, Roman might not be champ.
It's little subtle hints.
It's there again. That feeling is there again. It's not as strong, because I genuinely did. I almost predicted it. By the way, I think I was 5 out of 5.
No.
Was I not?
I don't think so. Let's see. You had
Bianca Belair, Cody Rhodes, Rhea Ripley, Bray.
Fuck. So you did.
And
wait, hold on.
I've forgotten the match.
Hang on. There's one more.
Bianca beat Alexa. Was it? Cody. Roman.
Aye. Fun enough to make fun of it.
So have it.
You did? Yeah. 5 out of 5, yeah. Aye, because I had LA Knight to win. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're a moron. Nah. It's because Bray Wyatt goes over.
But you're right in that way, though. Like, I'd be fine with that. This isn't a bad thing. Like, I generally would squash Sami in Montreal. I would.
To have him win Money in the Bank?
No.
No?
No, that has to be Gunther. Gunther and Braun Breaker for me have got to win the Money in the Bank.
Really? You'd have Gunther win. I think Gunther is better to just sort of kick. Gunther should be the main event opponent at Money in the Bank. It's got to be Cody versus Gunther in London. Because Gunther's the natural big bad for London. He's a natural guy that the UK fans are going to boo. And even if, and this is, again, Triple H is one of the smartest men in wrestling.
He's clever.
He's already put Gunther in the prime villain role for the UK. Because if Roman Reigns isn't on the card, which going forward, we can't see Roman Reigns being on the cards.
I don't think he will be. Yeah, I think he's going to take a couple of months break.
Gunther's the big bad. Gunther's the next number one heel. And Gunther was booed and booed and booed at Clash after an instant classic against Sheamus.
Yeah.
One of the greatest matches they've done, certainly in this decade.
Certainly.
And in the last decade. And in the last decade.
Exactly.
Well,
you're possibly saying one of the best that they've done in the century so far. Unbelievable match between Sheamus and Gunther at Clash. But they've already positioned Gunther to get booed. So even the people who don't know Walter from the UK scene, when they come back for Money in the Bank in London, they'll be like, that was him at Clash that beat Sheamus. Boo. He could be the big bad. Cody could beat him in
And you know what's
London
even more
with James
interesting?
Bell.
Roman Reigns is right now and it pains me to say this, but he is the ultimate final boss.
Absolutely. Yes.
But
I like it. I like the way that he's like, I don't like the way that, Weekly on television, he was like squashing everything and killing everyone. But I do like this whole final boss sort of come at me then. Anyway, continue.
And I'm getting that in a way, like in the Ruthless Aggression era, the big final boss for the first part of the Ruthless Aggression era, everyone knows it was Triple H. He had that reign of terror, but he was that final boss.
Yeah.
John Cena, whether he likes it or not, at the end of the Ruthless Aggression era, he was the final boss because he held the title for 380 days. He then got injured. He done all that. You look into the PGA University era that followed all that. The final boss wasn't John Cena. The final boss in that period became CM Punk because of how long he held the WWE title for. It was very rare that he took a defeat. Recent years after that, the final boss was Brock Lesnar, rightfully so. Whether I know you don't like it, but Brock Lesnar was rightfully so the final boss because of how strong he was positioned. The two lengthy title reigns that he had, the one going to WrestleMania, he had the near long reign when he lost at WrestleMania 31 when Rollins was the height of the century. Then the 500-day reign as Universal Champion where he was that final boss. Reigns now, 800 plus days, is the ultimate final boss. He's that one that you really want to beat. Cody Rhodes doesn't care who's champion. He, in a way, it's almost he doesn't even care that Reigns is that guy. He doesn't care. He would gladly take a title of Sami Zayn if he wanted to. He doesn't care. But the final boss that's coming, literally just mentioned it, the final boss that's coming is the man that got a larger reaction than Reigns. Reigns got the fuck you chance. But it was deafening, because obviously we were there. It was deafening how loud those boos were for Walter. For Gunther. I hate calling him Gunther. I prefer calling him Walter. Only one other person had that level of noise, and that was because of that heel turn. And that was Dominic. So we're excluding him. He's never going to be a final boss.
Yeah, we can't have Dominic be the big final boss. No.
But that final boss that's coming is Gunther. And
Gunther's
that's going to be a
big bad.
And he's going to be a lot worse than Roman. Because when you think about it, Roman wants to be a pro wrestler. And I'm not saying he isn't, but he wants to be a pro wrestler. But what he is an entertainer. He's a brilliant entertainer. Gunther is pro wrestling. Just like John Moxley is the boss of that in AEW. He is that pro wrestler final boss. You beat him, you're the definitive champion. And they've done that now with MJF with the heel turn and the double switch with Regal and all that. Gunther, every single bloody SmackDown, promo after promo after promo. This is for the sport of professional wrestling. This is the working man's championship. I am its champion. I'm a wrestler. He is the big bad of the wrestling side of the business. That is a bigger boss than Roman. Period. You're going to boo his ass in London.
Yeah,
and it's going to be perfect.
Bigger, it'll depend on what they can. It'll depend on what they can do with him for it being sort of bigger. I can't believe you just compared Gunther to John Moxley.
If you listen to what I said, if you listen
to be fair,
if you listen
no,
to what
Billy,
I said,
you've got
if you
a
listen
point.
to what I said,
If you listen to what I said, it's not a direct comparison. It's actually using a brain.
Ooh, he's getting catty now. I did not boo Gunther. I was like, yeah, but I mean, come on. Overall reactions here, Billy. If Gunther is you can see it now. Cody Rhodes versus Gunther, Money in the Bank, WWE Championship.
It wasn't, actually. I'm not directly comparing them. I'm saying when you look at it, Moxley every single week done the exact same thing as Gunther. He doesn't care about sports entertainment. He doesn't care about that rubbish. It was when he was feuding with Jericho, with the Jericho Appreciation Society. They were all about sports entertainment. Moxley was about pro wrestling. Gunther and
Moxley was not about pro wrestling.
it's extreme.
I think it lagged the first time you said it. I think this genuinely lagged the first time you said it. Reece, that is a horrible comparison.
Shut up.
How is Gunther like Moxley? Moxley has every right.
He is. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying when you actually listen to the promos,
Gunther
what is
says
the
ring is sacred, or the mat is sacred, and John Moxley hates having matches inside the ring.
He just loves blood.
John Moxley's not pro wrestling. John Moxley is garbage wrestling. He is hardcore rubbish wrestling.
Yeah, it's barbaric.
That is the direct opposite to this. Because Gunther is a heel who doesn't really cheat.
Mm-hmm.
Or if he cheats in a wrestling context. He'll maybe go for the eyes, or he'll rake the back.
Can't be a gouge.
He'll do something, but he doesn't. Like, Imperium so rarely get involved in a Gunther match. You know, there's a reason that Imperium don't really touch. Shame it is because the mat is sacred. The mat is sacred. So Gunther is a heel because you just don't like him.
And I'm not saying that in any direct way. And I think this is what people are not listening. I'm not saying it in that concept. I'm not directly comparing them style for style.
It did sound like you were, though.
Well, I'm not. I'm comparing the promo to promo. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying when you listen to their promos, in direct contrast, they're just talking about pro wrestling. There's never a mention about sports entertainment. It's always dismissal. You're dismissing that existence.
Yeah, but John Moxley has a chip on his shoulder because WWE wouldn't do what he wanted to.
True, but I'm not directly comparing them style for style.
It does sound like you are, though, because you're saying they're both pro wrestling.
Well, one of them doesn't. One of them claims to be, and that is Moxley. But he claims that he is that. But this is what I'm saying.
The mat is sacred. Does that mean there's holy statues under the ring? Yeah,
just
fair.
Just monitors. But
That's
this is my point, though.
Yeah,
but this is my point, though. Is I'm not directly saying. He claims he's a pro wrestler, Billy. That's what I'm saying. He claims this himself.
Yeah, but Gunther doesn't have to claim he's a pro wrestler.
He doesn't.
Because Gunther just is. The comparison you wanted, I think,
it's promo for promo contrast.
Different.
That's the comparison. That's the comparison. Yeah, John Moxley's every single bloody match has to involve like 10 buckets of blood. I'm saying that. Gunther is a pro wrestler.
A different wrestler that you could have compared him to.
Well, I'm not going to say Eddie Kingston, am I?
Well, no, because he's the same. Pick a wrestler.
Fine. Okay, here you go then. Here is actually the best shout on the planet. The best pro wrestler on the planet is Okada.
Yes, and how often does Okada do sports entertainment angles?
Very rarely.
Exactly. So that's
and time for you to learn how to win a quiz. I don't know how you're going to do that.
You should have just said Gunther was like Okada. Because saying Gunther's like Moxley.
Well, there you go.
Now you've made it even worse. Because now it's like Gunther, Okada, and Moxley are all in the same stratosphere.
Right, we'll leave Moxley's out of this now. Right? Moxley's gone.
John Moxley's waving from a car park while Okada and Gunther do battle on Everest. Like,
all right,
this
we'll leave
is
him out.
Comparison you've done there.
Once again,
never a dull moment on the Steelchair, people.
Once again, my genius has been misunderstood. All right, I am not saying they are the exact same.
All right. What I said was, when you listen promo to promo comparison, it's always about one thing. One aspect of the whole business is being dismissed. There you go. And I'm leaving it at that. We're moving the fuck on now.
Right.
Like, we're moving on.
Right, quickly, minute or two. Who do you think's winning the US title Elimination Chamber? Do you think they keep it on Theory or they having a change? I think they keep it on Theory, but they build his feud for Mania in it.
With Cena. Yeah. I want Theory to win, but I don't think he is going to win. I don't want
in it,
Raw.
I mean after it.
I don't want Rollins.
Some people do think Mox is at Okada and Gunther's level, and you can see him on the screen.
Fuck's sake, I don't think that. I'd have to be bizarre to think that.
Yeah.
I don't think
Billy says Montez wins.
No. That's worse than me saying Mox is on.
It'd be fun though if Montez wins, and because Theory and Cena doesn't need the US title. It's arguably a better match.
Montez Ford doesn't need it right now either until Dawkins.
But Montez Ford could then fight Dawkins. Is it bad that I forgot his first name?
D'Angelo. I am a misunderstood genius, you son of a bitch.
I understand it. He comes out with. Yeah,
but this is the thing. Like, why the hell would you put a title on Ford when he's not good enough?
He's okay. He's like Kenny Omega.
That's.
I've said this on the show before.
I know.
So I will actually back the claim up. Montez Ford is like Kenny Omega.
Montez Ford is. I actually think Montez Ford is actually good in the ring though, but I don't think he's that level yet to be a singles champion because he's still involved with the Profits. They haven't split yet. He should not be winning this.
It's sad what Sharp just said. Angelo Dawkins' career will go down the drain after the breakup. Yeah, he will be like top dollar. He will just be like, oh, you're here.
Yeah, that's what they really need to change.
He'll be like Baron Corbin, just some like bitter heel. Like, oh, yeah, you're here. Montez needs his push
soon. Yeah, not right now. Once they've had that split, 100%. Can you both see a situation where Roman beats Cody at Mania for the biggest swerve since Rollins cash-in? If Roman beats Cody at Mania, then you've actually lost a golden trick. You've lost one because
what do you actually do?
if Roman wins at WrestleMania, then one thing has to happen, right? You cancel the Saudi show. Because you cannot have, after that, Roman deciding, I'm going for a break, then you don't have a world champion at that period anymore. If Roman was to win against Cody, the bastard should just relinquish his titles after that, because he's not going to be at Saudi because he'll want a break.
Yeah.
He'll want a break. And Sharp Sammy isn't going to be in Saudi.
Sharp says heavy machinery vibes. Yeah, to be fair, that's probably the only thing stopping them from making Sami Zayn world champion.
Saudi Arabia.
He'd have to be on the Saudi Arabia shows, unless they were able to say, but what a novel concept. What if they had 2 world titles?
They have to split going into that show because it's going to be such a problem. Roman will want his break.
Going for a break. It's just a theory. To be fair, Roman hasn't said, but I think Triple H wants the belts off him.
I think because he wants to go and explore Hollywood as well. Roman does want to explore Hollywood, and he also says, "Well, he can't do full-time schedule anymore. He can't do it. It's not his fault either that he can't do a full-time schedule. The guy is literally living like life to life because obviously remission of leukemia. Like that's horrible for him. He can't do a full-time schedule at all. It's why he doesn't work SmackDown." Like in terms of matches, he only works like the odd SmackDown matches. Why it was a surprise that they booked him actually wrestle in the very last show of the 2022. It was a shock to a lot of people because of like how it is. So he can do 20, 30-minute matches on a pay-per-view. He doesn't have to do much for that in terms of preparation. He can just prepare in that way. He can't do Raw, SmackDown, then a pay-per-view. He can only do promo, couple interactions, and then boom, a big 30-minute match. Yeah, that's what he is now. It's a shame.
Roman might go for a break, or maybe a Kit Kat, maybe a quick crap. Yeah, sure. So, to round it off, you wanted to educate me, which I'm terrified.
On what was I going to educate you on?
Because this is someone who's just said John Moxley's on the same level as Gunther and Okada. And now you want to educate me about what New Japan's been doing recently. So tell me what Japan's John Moxley, Kazuchika Okada's been doing, and what's been happening. No, of course, we know that Jay White lost. So where's he going?
That's the question. And I think there's no...
for the day.
I would love to see Jay White in WWE. I would love to. I think he's absolutely phenomenal. And I think he's absolutely brilliant I think he's brilliant over in Japan. He's still got one more obligated match to do, and that's against Kenny Kingston on the 18th. On the tour. He's got one last match, and that's against Kenny Kingston next week. And that's a great match they're going to have. In terms of Jay White, though, with declining ratings, with only one feasible, genuine challenger to the champion MJF, and that's Bryan Danielson, with direction about what they're going to do storyline-wise, the fact that they've already got a vast majority of the Bullet Club / Undisputed, like the Undisputed, obviously, in terms of the tag, like the stable over there, he is badly needed in AEW. They badly need an additional member of star quality. Because we've spoken about before about how WWE are at producing talent, or they know when to bring someone in from a certain brand or promotion or particular nation, like Finn Balor, bringing him across from Japan at the right time, or getting AJ Styles in literally after he had just left Japan. You get at the right moment. This is a great time to bring Jay White in, but they've already got such a good card of talent. At the moment, they don't need Jay White. And it's painful for him because he's quality. He deserves to be on the best. He deserves to be in the best promotion. He deserves that. He's worked very hard for it. It was a great match, loser leaves Japan match. But in terms of overall quality and actually trying to build a better brand, get more ratings, get above the average which they lost, and obviously try and set a different standard, for me, he has to go AEW. Question is, will he? I'm not sure.
Well, he's been introduced to that audience through Forbidden Door, and you know that they'll have him.
They would.
So I mean, I don't see him doing anything other than the big two. I don't see him popping up in Impact. If he pops up in Impact, it doesn't mean anything at all. Though, of course, there is a good bridging point if he was going to appear in Impact.
What?
If he was going, that's like the second or third worst take of the show. No.
Shav, you're on crack.
Look, I kind of get it. Because you see so many wrestlers in the Jay White mold now. You see Adam Cole, you see Kenny Omega, you see Montez Ford, you see Seth Rollins, you see
Well,
Styles.
to be fair, there is one other name, but I don't know if we can use it. Because of what's happened, considering what he's done in his personal life. There's one other name. And he's actually, you know what, I'm going to say it. There is actually one guy, but he completely screwed himself over by being an utter clown. Marty Scurll.
Yeah. I kind of knew that was the guy you were going to say. I think we can still say the name. I knew
he said Velveteen Dream. He doesn't like his name being mentioned.
Yeah, well, his style is a bit different. But you know what I mean? Like these scrawnier guys who have really good matches. I get that Jay White's nothing special, you know, it's like Buddy Murphy sort of thing. I would like to see him, but I don't think he's a main event guy. Not in WWE anyway. Marty allegedly has had relations with people under the age or very close to the age of consent. It's borderline. He's not a flat out, you know, it's not the worst thing. But it is really bad.
It is really, yeah.
It won't get him back in the wrestling scene in any sort of massive spotlight. Unless enough time passes and he can sort of cleanse himself of that.
Or he can prove that he actually didn't do anything, which is never going to happen.
Yeah, if he could prove, of course. But yeah, so basically it was part of the speaking out movement.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he gets a pop.
I mean, I like Nick Aldis, but I do see your point.
Actually care. But yeah, I think Jay White, I'm with you, Sharv. You know, I'd like to see him, but he's nothing special. It's not like WWE tear themselves apart trying to sign Jay White.
He is a great worker, to be fair. I think that's
the
a
natural
lot.
Fit, go into AEW and beat Orange Cassidy.
Now that's just cold, even from your standard.
No, because he'll win the All Atlantic title. And then he could hold that for a bit. Maybe try and put a bit of credibility on that. It's currently being held by a joke.
Cassidy to lose.
He needed to beat Moriarty by roll. He needed to beat Moriarty by roll up. This guy can't beat anyone.
I get where you're coming from, but I do think you're being a little bit harsh on him there, though. And when you look at Jay White's matches, yeah, he doesn't have like the most outstanding gimmick name. Oh, he's called Jay White. He's Switchblade.
That's not what I'm on about. Switchblade's cool. It's his matches. Tell me, right? Any of the Okada versus Jay White matches, I'm going to take Jay White out. I'm going to put Adam Cole in. Is the match better, worse, or the same?
Can't believe you've just done that to me.
It's better. It's a better match. Adam Cole's better worker than Jay White.
Can't believe you just done that to me. Can't believe you just done that to me. Because you know I like Adam Cole as well.
Yeah, but Adam Cole's a better worker than Jay White. Okay,
you're evil.
Take Jay White out. Take Jay White out. Put AJ Styles in. Who has a better match? AJ Styles.
Stop it.
Every day.
Stop it.
Take Jay White out. Put Johnny Gargano in. Who has a better match?
You're evil. Stop it.
Put Ciampa in. Who has a better match? Jay White is one of that bunch, but he is not the best of that bunch.
He is very good. And I'm going to say this now. I actually think, considering what I like about Styles, what I like about Ciampa, what I like about Adam Cole, Jay White's work ethic and his actual what he puts in at times, and I say this comfortably and confidently, outweighs a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that in the disparaging term, but when you generally look at the body work he's put in, whether it be similar to many or not, which is fair to comment on, he certainly has done a lot more in terms of building his style and building his work than over the years than they did. His style is completely morphed than it was 5 years ago, 6 years ago, if anything of that.
Yeah.
It's completely morphed.
So Adam Cole's body of work in NXT.
It's one of the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's that's and Billy is absolutely right. And I'm not just saying that because this is sort of, we're still trying to get over what you said. Adam Cole coming back to WWE would get a big pop.
He would, though.
And I think CM Punk would get a pop, as a one-off
he get told to go home.
Adam Cole should have held his nerve in WWE. Yeah, but how was Adam Cole supposed to foresee? That's like saying William Regal shouldn't have went.
Exactly.
How was he supposed to foresee what was going to happen? I don't blame Adam Cole for leaving when his pitch was to be a manager. Because even now, when Triple H rescues him, he would be bald, he would be a manager. So it's not quite going to stick the same. I think Adam Cole's better to just hang out, see what happens, and then when that offer comes, seriously entertain it.
If it comes.
I think it will. You got to think Triple H at least gave him his number.
I think
Adam Cole would have probably been Max Dupree. You're right, Sharp. That's probably what they were going to do.
I actually think there's one name that he would actually go for ahead of Adam Cole. Not because Adam Cole's bad or nothing. He's not. I think
Adam
there's
Page.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, legacy and all that. Triple H seems to be a guy that does value his old crop. I mean, there's a reason that he took over SummerSlam and, Dakota Kai's back. Oh, Io Shirai's back.
Speaking of those two, their title reign's a bit dismal. Just so fact, I mean, they've hit 97 days and they've done nothing with it. Time for them to find tag teams. There's one for you.
It's almost like the belts don't matter, It's almost like those women's tag belts don't matter at all. Who didn't hear who?
Hangman Page.
All right.
And that's not because he's better than Adam Cole. It's not. He's definitely not. But when
But he
you
is
look
better
at
than Jay White.
no,
No?
no,
It's
no.
close.
But then again, though, and I'm saying this as well, they're not getting MJF either.
Oh, good God, no.
He's such an argumentative child. Quite like it.
Well, do we want to get argumentative for the last 10 minutes, people?
I'm
Reece,
up
do
for
you want
that.
to throw the last banner up?
Okay.
So, for the last 8, 9, 10 minutes, we'll see how it's going. We're going to take, not quick fire, because it's still us, but we're going to just take a few questions from the chat. So any comments that you put out that we didn't read because we weren't on the topic, you can ask them now. Any question you want to ask us about the wrestling, you can ask them now. We're going to go to probably just after the 2-hour mark. So we've got about 10 minutes here. This is where you guys run the show. You're the authority now. And you tell us what we should be talking about. So throw some questions in the chat with a disclaimer that if you ask me about United Wrestling Network and Danny Limelight, I don't have a clue. So Billy's in here with what happens with Bray now? Well, I think he just continues telling his story. He's got a script. He's going to keep doing what he's got. I think Triple H is allowing him mostly to book himself. So we'll see where Bray goes. I think it's a match against Uncle Howdy, not the old man, but like, I don't know if it'll have a different name. The Other Mask. Whatever that sort of grey-ish mask is. That's probably Bo Dallas, and that's probably who he's fighting. And Billy's got a question for you. Reece, do you wanna deal with it?
If you actually listen to what I said about Chris Jericho earlier on, you'd realise that Chris Jericho's the best in AEW, period.
So you're saying that if Chris Jericho's on a higher level than Mox, you're saying Chris Jericho's better than Gunther and Okada? Again, we're just trying to place where you are.
You lot are absolutely insane. I'm just saying this now, plain and simple. In AEW, there is no one better than Chris Jericho. No one. Not even MJ Fudley. MJ Fudley is his new name. Who would you like to see Hulk Hogan wrestle if
Who
he
would
were
you
to
like
return?
to see Hulk Hogan wrestle?
His heart rate falling out.
Jeez,
I'm sick of Hulk. Like, fuck Hulk Hogan, I don't care. Fuck Hulk Hogan, I don't care.
I want a New Day 3-on-1 handicap match.
No, let's add to it. New Day. Who else can we add in there?
You'd have like a lumberjack match.
Extreme Rules lumberjack match. Where the only way to win is Hulk Hogan's got to beat at least 20 men. That's not going to work because he can't do that. I'm done with
Moxley
Hogan.
versus Hogan.
Hogan is absolutely actually putting Carmelo Hayes in there.
Match of two of the all-time greats right there. Hogan
Hogan
your
is
night
the
one,
worst.
night two Mania matches.
He's the worst thing happening in pro wrestling. Hulk Hogan. Fucking
who opens Mania and who closes Mania? Tough. Well,
Hogan would never go. Jesus Christ.
Close night 2 with Cody versus Roman, obviously.
Yep.
Open. So, what should be the first match of WrestleMania?
Charlotte versus Ripley.
I was going to say something with Ripley, but I wonder if Ripley's going to do Double J.
Maybe.
I wonder if you are going to have an Edge and Beth versus Rhea and Dominic match.
I think you're still going to get Dominic versus Ray though at WrestleMania.
Unless we do that at Elimination Chamber because it's in Canada.
Rhea and Finn Balor are teaming up against Edge and
Beth Phoenix at Elimination Chamber in a mixed tag match.
Oh, because Dominic's in the chamber.
Yeah. No.
No,
He's not. Damien Priest
why?
is.
Why is Dominic not the? That's silly
'Cause
to me. Why is it not Rhea and Dominic?
He'll be at ringside. For me, Man Night 1 main event is the Usos versus Owens and Zayn. End Night 1 with a tag match. And then end Night 2
Okay.
with... And then I'll end Night 2 with Reigns versus Rhodes. I'm opening both nights with women's title matches.
Okay.
Asuka versus Bianca open up Night 2. Charlotte versus Ripley open up Night 1.
Maybe you should open with Bray Wyatt versus the Howdy
Himself.
Monster. Bray Wyatt versus himself, because that way we have the most time to forget that it happened. No, maybe open with Rollins and Paul.
Could be a good start.
That'd be a hot match. It's like when they opened with Orton and Styles one year. It's just a hot match. They opened with Orton and Rollins another year, didn't they?
They did.
I've heard a rumor that the men's title match closes night 1. Oh, so we're doing something on night 2, are we?
But it won't be Austin because we know he's
Maybe the
turned it
tag
down.
match is where the bloodline truly falls apart. But surely Roman
I hope
loses
so.
last.
I hope so. I'll say this as well.
Have Andre
This needs-
battle. Yeah.
Cancel it. Cancel it.
No, I'd have Solo Sikoa win it.
No, I'd cancel the term Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Just call it the WrestleMania Battle Royal. Forget Andre. He's had his
Dead
moment.
1 year, didn't they?
Just the whole concept.
No, it's
like,
the women's one. They ended up taking. She was problematic. They didn't like her being the. Who was it? The woman that was. The women's version of the match used to be named after her. The Fabulous Moolah?
think so. But that's a bad choice for any type. That's a bad choice for any.
And then it was just the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal. So yeah, it was Moolah. See, not just a pretty face, people. Yeah, so Moolah.
But I would cancel the whole
that.
Andre the Giant Battle Royal and just call it WrestleMania Battle Royal because it's not even important.
Yeah. I thought you meant cancel the match. I was like, nah, it gets people their WrestleMania payday. Just do it. You know, maybe you open. Well, no, she probably wouldn't do them on the main card. They're probably pre-show, aren't they?
You could actually have the Usos defend the tag titles against Zayn and Owens in a ladder match. Sharp has said a ladder match of some sort. I wouldn't mind a tag match for the ladder, like with the titles on the line.
Can anyone tell me what the hell has happened to Nakamura?
He's recovering.
He had a match in Japan,
Mhm.
and now he's back home, and he's chilling out in wherever he lives, Florida, I think.
Yeah.
And he's just got chilling. And when
He's got
they need him to
nothing.
do something, he'll come in.
I generally think he's got nothing until WrestleMania. They should put him on Raw with Rick Boogs. Rick Boogs gives me Rick Rude vibes. Like really classic Rick Rude vibes. A lot of people said Ultimate Warrior, and I see why he's got that unrelated energy, but I like how he works in the ring. I think he's such a good worker. I would have him be a champion at some point. I think US or IC champion down the line, I actually would like to see for Rick Boogs. I actually really do like him.
Would there be a future in doing Styles and Nakamura versus Judgment Day?
That's not a bad idea because that was wanted a while ago. A lot of people did want that. Remember, you wanted Nakamura and
Even
Judgment
Styles,
Day,
Nakamura, and Boogs versus Judgment Day.
it'd be a good team.
And I don't think they're going to do that because Dominic's going to fight Ray, probably.
Yeah, Boogs is very entertaining indeed. Sharp, he is. I think he's genuinely so good. I really do like him.
No, Boogs is really good. In terms of the ladder match, Rick Boogs. Oh, he's not letting you live it down, is he? Nor should he.
To be fair, he can do whatever he wants, but if anything, he still lost the quiz, so I don't care.
Yeah. No,
And I'm gonna say this now as well. He's not gonna get out deleting his answer for the next quiz either, because he'll be on screen and I'll be watching.
Well, I mean, I think that was a lot of fun. You know,
Right.
I think we've covered a lot of things there. So, I mean, in
delete
summary,
that, Billy.
Delete that.
In summary, Rumble, really good. AEW, bit lost. The Chamber, we have that excitement back. Jay White, probably going to AEW. They do need the help. And
They do.
remember this, everyone. Jon Moxley is as good a wrestler as Gunther and Okada.
I never said that. I
Remember
never said that. I did not say that. I've gone over the quiz now, Reece. Time to draw a line under it. Yeah, that's not what you messaged me a little while ago. Just saying.
Anyway, Reece, do your thing. Wrap this one.
It was a good show. Thanks, Sharp. So we are going to do another quiz next month. And that is going to happen. And we're going to shut some people up about this once and for all. I'm going to say a date now. You tell me if this is good for you or not. So the one that you said you couldn't do, I believe,
Can't do the 25th, so I think you said it was the 18th, which so far is okay. But, my life is eventful.
So if a lot is in for the 18th, is that okay with you?
Yeah, well, the thing is, just say the 18th. And if I'm around, great. And if not, I'll win by default. Because I'll just go, I knew that.
March
I knew
18th.
that. Oh, Sharv, I'm going to win. That's the attitude we want to see, Sharv. That is the attitude.
One day he'll just open his ears and you'll realise that I didn't say they were the same. I just compared promos. Sharp, I'm going to win the quiz this time. I like that attitude as well, as Eilidh says. I do like the attitude. You might win it, you never know. But we do need people involved. Darth can be on it. Darth can certainly be on. Hopefully he does better than what he had hoped last time. He did really well, but 19 points is okay. Billy, I'll check the 18th. Please make there be a Mox question. Yeah, it'll be who could Billy not beat in a fight? Jon Moxley. I'll have some questions. Remember, this is the first of the 4 Iron Man quizzes. I have the first and the 4th one. So I will start the year. I will end the year with the quizzes. Eilidh will have the following 2, so we're all screwed. No, we're not. It'll be good fun. We will do that. Obviously, William will have to be there because obviously he won the last one. He's got to be on
William's the champ.
Yep.
Let's not gloss over that. 2 weeks ago, Reece, you lost your crown.
No. I already said there would be no half points. The half points are gone. And the points are I actually made the points very sensible and I actually gave you options. And this is the point. And I'm saying this now. There will always be those points of name the pay-per-view. There will be 10 points. There will be 8 points. There will be 12-point questions. I don't care. I make the rules. I'm the host. And that's the bottom line.
Ooh.
End of. There will be. And there will be multiple point questions. There will be questions where you got to name certain things to get the point. It's my quiz. If you don't like that, take your half point and cry. And no.
Sure.
No.
Go for it.
Unless you ask the question of who absolutely sucks.
I think you did pretty well, and then Keen disqualified you because you were changing your answers.
Yeah,
I think
you deleted
I remember
an
that
answer,
rightly.
and I got blamed for it, even though it wasn't Quizmaster.
But to be fair, we weren't in charge of that one because Keen is the great overlord of the channel. Which, by the way, if you're not subscribed and you want more of this excellent content, as well as coverage on the basketball, as well as coverage on that team in Manchester, you can obviously subscribe and you'll get all of the good stuff. I believe there was a preview for the United Leeds game.
There was.
Going to be. Yeah, no, there was. I saw it. So there was a preview for that. So you United fans, you poor sods, you can go and catch that as well. Obviously, big news of the takeover as well. But for now, we're going to get out of here before Reece has a full on.
It was nothing to do with me, and I get blamed.
Before Reece has a full on meltdown. I
Just
know
remember
that I'm the better quizmaster.
Eilidh does the exact same concepts as me. The only difference is I do a full-blown name the pay-per-view. I do a full-blown point after point after point.
Yeah, if anything, I'm nicer. I wouldn't
go that far. Yes.
We've got Jekyll and Hyde. This pointing thing's weird. Anyway, thanks everyone for tuning in. I guess I'm going to take your mantle here, Reece, because you have so graciously failed at the outro. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all the questions as well, guys. I think we'll have to maybe make this a regular section because that was really good. Really liked the feedback, and hopefully, you know, anyone watching on the repeat, just get questions in the comments. That crew's about YouTube. I'll answer them if you like that.
And I actually do
nothing better to do
as well,
other than watching old John Moxley matches and comparing them to the great wrestlers of old. But Reece, send them home. Try again.
You lot are all smoking crack. And that's the conclusion to this show. We'll see you next week. And all I'm going to say is, I don't think Moxley is that level. I'm just quoting promo. And if you don't like it, fuck it. See you next week, back, guys. Bye.
It's my life to build back in front of me. Taking talk in my arms is the soul of me. You walk